Pittsburgh Steelers will take on the New York Jets on Sunday Night Football this Sunday night. And today we're going to be breaking down this matchup here in Week 7. Welcome into the Steelers Talk Preview. I am your host, Jack Sperry. And make sure you guys click that subscribe button because we go live for every single Steelers game this weekend for Sunday Night Football. We're going to be going live at 7 p.m. Eastern, an hour and a half of pregame coverage, followed by live play-by-play and then extensive post-game coverage as well. We have the largest Steelers watch parties for free right here on YouTube. So if you guys want to join our family today for in-depth Steelers coverage for free every single day, we're just 82 new subscribers away from hitting our mark here of 64,000 subscribers. My goal is to hit 64K before we go live on Sunday. So really do appreciate your guys' support. And with that, man, let's talk about this matchup because it's going to be very interesting to see these two teams face off because lots of storylines heading into this one. Russell Wilson looks like he's going to be making his first start as a member of the Pittsburgh Steelers at quarterback, and then Davante Adams, newly traded receiver, is going to be making his Jets debut as well. And this is really a must-win game for the New York Jets, sitting at 2-4. Steelers are in a little bit of a better spot at 4-2, but you take a look at where the Jets have been so far this season. They start the year off with a loss on primetime on Monday Night Football versus the 49ers. Then they beat two bad teams in a row in the Titans and Patriots. And then they lose 3 straight at home to Denver, to Minnesota, which was technically a London game. So that was technically a home game, but it was in London. It was a neutral site. And then they lost to the Buffalo Bills on Monday Night Football just this past week. So the Jets are technically coming off a short week this week. So keep that in mind as well. So let's take a look at what you guys can expect from the New York Jets in terms of the scheme. So Jeff Ulbrich is their interim head coach after they fired Robert Saleh just a couple weeks ago. He's 0-1, of course, as the head coach after that first loss to the Bills. The offensive scheme is technically a third-generation West Coast offense, kind of in the Matt LaFleur, Sean McVay, Kyle Shanahan kind of branch of the West Coast, and Todd Downing has replaced Nathaniel Hackett as the offensive play caller. Looking at the film from New York last week, I do think Downing did a better job than Nathaniel Hackett, giving his guys opportunities to make plays. So I do think that is an upgrade. So keep that in mind. And then also on defense, Jeff Ulbrich is the defensive play caller as the head coach now. And they run a 4-2 kind of multiple style system. They like to go to cover 3, but they will definitely mix in man coverage and all these different things, quarters coverage. They really run a lot of different stuff, and they do it extremely well, and they teach their players to run this system extremely effectively. On offense, the key pieces that you guys have to keep your eye on here, obviously Aaron Rodgers will go into his full scouting report later in today's show. Breece Hall, their running back, very dynamic out in space. And then their 2 receivers, Davante Adams and Garrett Wilson, are definitely a duo that the Steelers need to have a lot of attention on heading into this week's matchup. You take a look at the Jets' offensive line here and where they rank in terms of their Pro Football Focus grading. It's a very solid unit. Now, Morgan Moses is a kind of an aging veteran. He hasn't been fantastic, so definitely look out for TJ Watt to have that matchup. But everybody else, man, Tyron Smith has been solid. Same thing with John Simpson, Joe Tippmann, and Elijah Vera Tucker. Very solid up the middle of this offensive line, where the weaknesses kind of are on the edges. So I really expect to see Alex Highsmith and TJ Watt take advantage of the edges in this football game if the Steelers' pass rush is going to get home. Cam Hayward and Keanu Benton have also been great up the middle, so maybe even this really good interior of the offensive line for New York can't handle the Steelers' pass rush, but it's definitely going to be a big key to victory for the Steelers to take advantage of this matchup and get to Aaron Rodgers in this football game, just like the Buffalo Bills did on Monday Night Football this past week. So you take a look at the team trends here. Obviously, the Pittsburgh Steelers are winning this matchup here. Second in points per game allowed compared to 22nd in terms of points per game scored for the New York Jets. So the Steelers defense certainly has the advantage in this kind of matchup when you look at the trends and you look at the points per game here. The Jets are scoring less than 20 points a game, just 18.8 points per game. And the Steelers defense is currently ranking second in points per game allowed at just 14.3 through the first 6 weeks. So if you believe the trends here, the Jets are going to score about 17 points on Sunday night. But I'm also going to say this right now, guys. Now that the New York Jets have acquired Davante Adams, now that they have kind of tossed Nathaniel Hackett in the trash can where he belongs, that you can pretty much throw the trends out the window for the New York Jets offense. We don't know what to expect from this offense here because Davante Adams is a huge pickup for this Jets offense. He has that chemistry with Aaron Rodgers, and if you know anything about the offense that Aaron Rodgers likes to run, it's a lot of stuff based on chemistry in terms of trust, and of course that we know that these guys have an insane amount of trust. They had a legendary connection when these two played with the Green Bay Packers those years back. Then we get to the defensive side of the ball, and obviously, the Jets are known for their defense, especially over the last several years. Sauce Gardner is an excellent press man corner on the outside. Quinnen Williams is their beast up the middle. There at defensive tackle, DJ Reed, their other corner, has actually been excellent in a number 2 role this year. And then CJ Mosley and Quincy Williams are impactful inside linebackers that the Steelers are going to have to deal with. I do think the Jets defense has been getting a little bit of a bad rap here this season. I feel like people are a little bit lower on the Jets defense than how they've actually played this year. They haven't played quite as well as they have in years past. But, even though they don't have the best pass rush in the world, the secondary is really holding up well. And as you guys can see, based on the trends, the Jets defense certainly has the advantage on this side of the ball. So it definitely seems like it's going to be a defensive football game. You look at the trends here for points per game. The Steelers offense is currently getting just over 20 points per game at 20.7, and the Jets are giving up 18.0. So if you believe the trends here, the Pittsburgh Steelers will score 20 points and win this football game in a close one, 20-17. But similar to the New York Jets, and now you can pretty much throw out the trends because they're adding Davante Adams, you can do the same thing for the Pittsburgh Steelers if they decide to go to Russell Wilson as their starting quarterback, because all of their trends to this point in the season have been with Justin Fields as their quarterback. So will those trends go up? Will they go down? We don't have a for sure answer to that question right now. So it's very much up in the air. Lots of question marks on both sides of the football field here for both teams in this football game, which makes it super, super intriguing as somebody that's going to be watching this on Sunday night. So still to come here on the Steelers Talk Preview, keys to victory versus the New York Jets. I got 6 of them that the Steelers need to do to win this football game. Number 2, we're going to be getting into the Aaron Rodgers scouting report. I still think Rodgers is a very good quarterback. I'll let you guys know my thoughts on him here in just a second, and then I'll get into my official Week 7 score prediction. Do I think the Steelers get to 5-2 with a win on Sunday night? I'll let you guys know what I think here in just a second. But first, let's have a word from our sponsor here at Public Rec. And let's be real, guys. Wearing pants sucks. Who decided that stiff, uncomfortable fabric digging into your family jewels was necessary to go out and look put together? Well, I'm here to tell you that those days are finally over. Public Rec has developed the revolutionary Daymaker pant that feels as comfortable as sweatpants, but look and feel like tailored pants. They're super stretchy and made with an elastic waistband, but you can wear them absolutely anywhere. Wear them lounging around at the house eating Cheetos or on football Sundays with the boys. You can even wear them on the first date and no one will know you're wearing sweats. You can finally have indoor comfort with outdoor style by wearing Public Rec's Daymaker pants. For a limited time only, our listeners get 20% off their entire order when you use code CHAT at publicrec.com. That's 20% off your entire order at publicrec.com with promo code CHAT. And guys, I'm currently wearing one of the shirts from Public Rec, and let me tell you, man, this is one of the most comfortable shirts I've ever worn in my entire life. I actually look forward to doing these videos with Public Rec as the sponsor because I get to wear this super awesome, soft, super stretchy shirt here. It's super comfortable. It's super breathable too, so if it's a hot day, even though I'm wearing black, this is going to be a super comfortable t-shirt. And then when it comes to pants, guys, I'm tall and skinny, so it's super hard to find pants that actually fit my size and fit my legs and fit my body. But with the tailored options that Public Rec provides for their Daymaker pants, it makes it super easy to look good and also feel good as well in the pants that you wear. So stop suffering in regular pants now, because for a limited time only, our listeners get 20% off when you use code CHAT at checkout. That's 20% off with the code CHAT at publicrec.com. After your purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them that we sent you. Say goodbye to pants that put up a fight, because when comfort meets style, you've found Public Rec. So the first key to victory here centers around the quarterback, Aaron Rodgers. And listen, man, because the Jets are 2-4, I think a lot of people are talking about Aaron Rodgers in a negative way. But honestly, man, when you look at the film, he still has that world-class arm talent. He's still throwing with some pretty darn good accuracy. He can really feel the pocket, which is something he's always been able to do at an elite level. The playmaking is still there. The mental processing is as good as it's ever been as well. But I think that the big downside for Aaron Rodgers in this new Jets offense with new teammates coming off a year where he had that torn Achilles is that his offense really is dependent on chemistry with all the option routes that his receivers have. If you can execute that and you have trust and familiarity with the wide receivers in the system, it can really work. And we saw that in the later years there in Green Bay with Aaron Rodgers, with guys like Davante Adams, by the way. But, with younger receivers, newer receivers, they tend to struggle with Aaron Rodgers all throughout his career. And now he's on a team where, besides of Davante Adams, before they made this trade, everybody was new with Aaron Rodgers. So it just has been a slow start for Rodgers because he just doesn't have that built-in chemistry and trust that he does have with Davante Adams, which is why that trade for this football team in particular and this offense was so important, because you are injecting a star quality receiver that does have that language, that does have that trust, that does have that connection with the quarterback. And in my opinion, man, Rodgers hasn't lost much of the velocity. He hasn't much lost of the mental processing. He hasn't even lost much of the mobility, man. So I still think Aaron Rodgers is a top 10 starting quarterback in the National Football League, and he's going to be a handful for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I think that this has got to be a TJ Watt kind of game, man. I think at this point, TJ Watt is the defensive player of the year with how impactful he has been on the football games that the Steelers have won this year. He needs to have that level of performance today. Now, does he have to force 2 fumbles like he did last week? Maybe no, not necessarily, but he does need to get back there. He does need to get pressure on Aaron Rodgers, force him into some tough decisions, maybe get a strip sack fumble or 2 here. I definitely think he needs to make a big impact for the Steelers to win this football game. Then speaking of the defense here, the run defense definitely needs to show up. Now, I've been seeing on Steelers Twitter that people have been kind of trashing the Steelers' run defense, but if you look at the numbers, man, they've actually been excellent against the run this year, just giving up 3.6 yards per carry. That's second in the National Football League through the first 6 weeks. Now, they had a tough kind of fourth quarter against the Dallas Cowboys rushing attack, which is why I think some people have the idea that the Steelers' run defense stinks, but literally other than that, they've been really, really good against the run. So even though the Jets have a pretty darn good offensive line and a really dynamic running back in Breece Hall, I think the Steelers are going to be just fine on Sunday night this week. Then we get to the final defensive key to victory here, which is to contain this wide receiver duo. Okay, and I'm very interested to see how this matchup kind of breaks down between Davante Adams and Garrett Wilson versus the 2 starting corners for the Pittsburgh Steelers and Joey Porter Jr. and Dante Jackson. I would assume JPJ is going to be on Davante Adams, and he's probably going to be shadowing him. So I'm really interested to see, without Joey Porter Jr. on Garrett Wilson, how much of an impact is he in this football game. So I think that this kind of dynamic between the secondary of the Steelers versus these top 2 receivers is definitely a storyline to keep up with. Is there rust between Davante Adams and Aaron Rodgers? Is it going to take time for Davante to get acclimated into this offensive scheme? I guess we'll have to see, but I'm definitely interested to see how it all plays out on Sunday. So make sure you guys click that thumbs up icon if you haven't already. If you want to see the Pittsburgh Steelers win and improve to 5-2 with a win over the New York Jets, let me know what you guys think down there in the comments section, who you think's going to win this game, and don't forget to click that thumbs up icon. Okay, now let's get into the offensive keys to victory here for Pittsburgh. And you got to keep the run game going, all right? And what I mean by that here is that you just got to, have a similar performance from last week, right? So Najee Harris had a career day against the Las Vegas Raiders last week in Sin City, over 7 yards per carry, when before this game he was sitting at about 3.5, 3.6 yards per carry. So this is something here where I think Najee Harris needs to prove that last week's game wasn't a fluke. And then also I'd love to see Jaylen Warren get going a little bit here. He hasn't played much this year, and when he hasn't been super effective, or at least not as effective as he was last year in this Pittsburgh Steelers offense. He has been dealing with injuries. Hopefully now Warren is getting healthier and can be more of an impact in the Steelers' run game. And the reason why I think the run game is going to be so important for the Steelers here is because I don't love the matchup between the Steelers' passing offense and the Jets secondary, which is actually really, really good, which is why I think whoever is quarterbacking the Steelers this weekend, it sounds like it's going to be Russell Wilson, but it could be Justin Fields. They need to share the sugar among all the offensive weapons at their disposal because Sauce Gardner is a legit lockdown island type, put him on an island, one-on-one press man coverage type of corner, and he is going to be on George Pickens this entire football game, all right? So you look at guys like Calvin Austin III, you look at guys like Pat Freiermuth, you look at guys maybe even like Mike Williams if they trade for him this week. You got to be able to get it to other receiving options other than George Pickens to win this football game. Now, the thing about the Jets' pass rush, and this is the weakest part of their defense, is that their pass rush hasn't been very good so far this year. Will McDonald has been a huge disappointment. Everybody is double-teaming Quinnen Williams. I expect the Steelers to do the same this weekend. And then also, like Jermaine Johnson, they're definitely missing him after losing him to a season-ending injury. So whoever's back there is going to have, I think, a decent amount of time to throw the football, but that matchup between George Pickens and Sauce Gardner is not one I think favors the Steelers. Pickens has had a little bit of a slow start to his 2024 campaign, and Sauce is one of the best in the game, all right? So I'm going to be looking for Russ or Justin or whoever is throwing the football to get other guys involved. Somebody like Calvin Austin III, who I call the small X factor this week because, yes, he's 5'9". He is tiny, but you watch the film, and this guy is constantly getting open, and Justin Fields isn't getting him the football. And it's so frustrating, man, because Calvin's actually been having a fantastic season in terms of his route running, in terms of creating separation. It's just he's never really getting the football, so his separation numbers don't show those things. And you look at the stats right now, he only has 10 catches in 6 games for somebody that's getting as open as CA3 is getting open. That is an absolute travesty. Plus, this guy's one of the fastest receivers in the league, and he's excellent in open space. So get the ball in Calvin Austin III's hands. Good things are going to happen for the Pittsburgh Steelers offense, man. So he has to be a priority this week because George Pickens is mostly going to be taken away. And then another guy you got to really prioritize as well is tight end Pat Freiermuth. You guys paid him all this money here to be that super reliable short to intermediate receiving option. He's getting open enough. Whoever's quarterbacking this team needs to do a better job of getting him the football more often, and he needs to be utilized in this passing attack as well if the Steelers want to win this game. Then the final key to victory here is you got to make the play late, whether that's a strip sack fumble from T.J. Watt, whether that's a long touchdown pass from Russell Wilson to Calvin Austin III, whether that's a muff punt recovery, whatever the case may be, there's going to be that play that needs to be made in the fourth quarter, and I think it's going to be a close football game, so I do think that the Pittsburgh Steelers need to be able to be the ones to make that play. This team is so good at doing that. Mike Tomlin is first in the National Football League in terms of his record in one-score games since he's entered the National Football League. That is an awesome stat to have on your side. However, I do think that the Jets kind of have the wind at their back here after acquiring Davante Adams. Everybody's feeling good in that building. I think there's a lot of uncertainty in the building with Russell Wilson slated to get the start this week. I think the Jets defense plays well. I think with GP getting taken away by Sauce, I'm not sure how Russ and this offense is going to really perform. I have the Steelers scoring 13 points in this football game. I think the Jets get up to 20. I think it will be the New York Jets coming away victorious, and the Steelers will go down to 4-3 heading into Week 8 versus the New York Giants. So now it's your turn. Let me know down there in the comments section. Predict the score of Steelers versus Jets down there in the comments section. I can't wait to see the result of this football game, guys, because there's so much unknowns. Will Russell Wilson play better or worse than Justin Fields? Can Najee Harris in the run game keep it going? How does Davante Adams look in his first game back with Aaron Rodgers? There's so many great storylines to watch in this game and so many question marks, which makes me think that this could really go either way, in my opinion, guys. So really do appreciate your guys' support. Make sure you guys click that subscribe button if you haven't already. I will see you guys tomorrow on Steelers Talk Live, where we have a bunch of great Steelers content coming your way. We go live at 5:30 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow. So if you don't want to miss that, make sure you click that subscribe button. And until tomorrow, guys, here we go, Steelers.